Okay, so this is module 1 of the Podcasters Mastery Starter course, and what we're going to be looking at in this module is actually what is a podcast, because so many people come to me and they say, oh, I'm thinking of starting a podcast, and how do we do it? But I haven't really grasped what a podcast is, first of all. So of course, most of us will know that a podcast is either an audio file or a video file which we can actually watch by downloading off the internet at our own time, get it on our MP3 player, and it is laser targeted content and information provided free to our audience. Okay, so that's basically what it is. It's like an internet radio show where more often than not you'll get a host or you get a couple of hosts and they will be talking about a subject that they're passionate about or they're inspired about, or sometimes that they want to make money from. And a podcast can be used in many different formats, and the way that I like it most of all is simply marketing. I provide all my content free of charge, which ultimately will get somebody from listening to come and check out my work and maybe get on my email opt-in or connect with me or actually sort of become a client. Actually, if you listen to my podcast episodes, it's very rare that I sell anything, because I'm very aware as well that people are clued up nowadays to being sold stuff, being dragged into something just because there's money on the table. I don't think that's how a podcast should be. I don't think that's the true value of it. I think the true value is about building connections between your potential ideal customer and yourself, bridging that discovery call. Most people will have a discovery call where they say, well, connect with us and we can talk for 30 minutes or 15 minutes about your problems. And it's that way for that listener to sort of get a feeling of you and think, yeah, they're okay, they're quite a useful person to be in connection with. I probably will work with them. That only takes you so far, but a podcast, you can do thousands and thousands and thousands of those discovery calls every single day, because you record and you release generic information, not time dated, and those people will be able to listen to that from now to whenever your files are live. They can download 300 episodes ago, they can download today's episode, and it's all about building that connection between you and your ideal customer. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just going to go onto the internet now, and we're going to look at some of the ways that you can find this content, and I'm going to explain it in a slightly different manner. Okay, so this is iTunes, and this is where most people think that podcasts hang out, and it's certainly a brilliant place to get your podcast on, because on this one platform there are over 600 million active podcast listeners. So 600 million active podcast listeners actually equates to 600 million potential customers, all in one place, all looking for your content, all looking to be entertained, educated, inspired, sold to. This is the shopping place that you have dreamt of if you are a business owner. So how does it work? Well, there's two types of podcasts. At the moment, you can see it at the top. I'm in iTunes and you can see it's all. And so this is a collation of every single podcast there are. You can see that they've set up special collections, new and noteworthy, tell me a tale stories, things that they think that people would be interested in. And then over here on the right hand side, you can drop down to all categories, and then you can fine tune it to business, education, health, music, whatever your interest is. Okay, now most of these here will be audio files only, so you don't get images, you only listen to them, which is great because people will download those and they will listen to them on the way to work, or they will listen to them while they're walking the dog or doing mowing the lawn. Podcast is a great way of freeing up time for people so they can get your content at a time that's convenient to them. Very, very different from a blog where most people will have to sit there and take time out to read it. A podcast will fit round your clients so they can download your content, find it easily on their player, and when they're doing something different, then they will play it. I get told a lot where people are listening to me on the toilet, in the bath, on airplanes, wherever they have time to kill, bang, you're in their ears. They're making a conscious decision to spend time with you, so you provide the entertainment. Now, along the top here, you can see that we can change it from audio. So this is just audio file podcast, and literally all my podcast episodes are audio, but you can also go to video as well. And these people are providing content which is brilliant for visual and content for audio as well. Now, you've got to be careful on this because you do need an awful lot of bandwidth if you are hosting these files on your website, which we will come to later. There is a way getting around that to make it very easy for you to provide this kind of content free. Okay, now we can just jump on to say Gary Barlow inside the music, and if we click on that, the podcast is actually set up into episodes. You can see there's a TV screen there. That means that it is going to be video, and we can see that there are videos down there, so all of these are going to be video files. Now if I jump back and I change it to audio and I go into an audio podcast, you will see that there's no TV, there's no visual. These are all going to be content that is going to be listened to. Away from that, we can jump to a website. So let's go to a website. Okay, we are here at The Nerdist, which is one of my favourite podcasts. They have stellar guests, and you can see up the top, we've got The Nerdist Podcast, Bizarre States, videos. There's lots of, this is what you really need to benchmark your work for. I think the Nerdist have really set it to a high level. So I'm going to drop down to the Nerdist podcast, and you can see here we are. They've got all their guests lined up, and simply we can click on them and then play our podcast episode from here. So we have got different options. We can either host it directly on iTunes, but most people will have a website as well that they will link their content to. Brilliant thing about this is that, as we say, people can listen to it on the go. We're making it totally convenient. But unlike a blog post or a website, which is in just one location, a podcast, you can set it up to be found across the world. It literally goes viral. Now think about that for your business. You are trying to get your knowledge out to the widest audience. We're already starting with 600 million people in a area, that's iTunes, and then we can jump onto a website. We can go back to iTunes. iTunes will link to other places. You are starting to create a spider effect. So just in that short video, can you see how powerful podcasting is for your business? You create content once, you share it with the world then wants to share it elsewhere, and it literally can go viral. Now, we've obviously just been talking about iTunes, which is the big one, but there are iTunes, there's Stitcher, there's TuneIn Radio, there's Google Play, there's Spotify. All these companies are wanting to share your content. So you record it once and you have literally got the world at your fingertips. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, obviously, to grow a show, but in principle, that's what it's all about. You provide content that people want, they find it, they start listening, they really enjoy it, and of course they will come back to you. It's podcast marketing, that's what I think. Now, away from that, one of the problems that we are going to encounter, and we will cover in the next module, is people start podcasting and they get bored. They choose the wrong subject, or they choose a subject that is too difficult to keep going on. We're going to be talking about that in the next module, how to overcome those barriers. That means you can be just like me and record podcast episode after podcast episode, never get bored with it, and that passion and that enthusiasm translates into ka-ching, and it really is a lucrative way. So as I say, you record it once, you put it out to the world, people like it, they start coming back to you, they start sharing, and it's a groundswell in principle, but let's do it the right way.